So the trap apartment is really kind of what everyone is leasing, what they're buying into the hype right now. And the trap apartment is that really nice, shiny apartment where you look and feel successful living there. But the problem is the rent is so damn high. Even if you're making $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year, at the end of every year you feel broke. Mainly because at that $3,000 a month margin, what you're paying every month roughly for rent, which in LA that's considered a good price. Generally it's about $3,300 to $3,500, not including parking or utilities. So if you're paying $3,000, this is where it gets interesting. Paying $3,000, you have a car note, insurance, gas, you go out with your friends, food, clothing, your expenses easy are $6,000 a month. That's $72,000 a year. So if you're making $100 and you're paying taxes at a 25% base, it leaves you at the end of the year with no money, which is crazy. You work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and then you have nothing to show for it at the end of the year. My wife is a nurse. She worked at a hospital in East LA, and she would see her coworkers working doubles, working so hard, driving all the way out from the desert just to come into work because the rent was so high. I'm very fortunate because when I came to LA, this is in 2008, rents were pretty cheap, the market just crashed, and I was able to start out with a $440 apartment. It was a disgusting apartment, but it was $440, so I wasn't complaining. And then I went and found a couple other apartments off of Craigslist that were also affordable. Then I, at one point, had a really nice apartment that I found off of Craigslist on Wilshire that now is probably renting for $4,000 a month at least. But I rented one of the bedrooms and it only cost me $1,000 a month. But then I took a step back after I met my now wife, and we moved into a really crummy apartment. It's a bachelor apartment. It's smaller than a studio. So when I lived there, it really kind of put things into perspective. I was saving a ton of money. I think this is probably one of the happier points for sure of me kind of climbing that ladder, because it was a really humbling experience and my expenses were so damn low. They were probably $1,500 to $1,800 a month, and I was saving so much money in comparison to my friends. I had friends I'm an agent in Beverly Hills, friends renting in Santa Monica, living in these really beautiful apartments. They're still there. It's nearly 10 years later, and their rents, the only thing that's changed is probably their rent base, because guarantee every single year the landlord hits them with a rent increase because the demand for the apartment is just soaring. So what I would do now, if I were 20 or 30 or whatever my age was, I would take a hard look at what my goal is. Is my goal to be a landlord? Is my goal to be financially established, to be wealthy, to not have to depend on a boss? And if you enjoy your job, that's great. But to not have to depend on a boss to hit those really big expenses every month. You know, I'm very fortunate because I've met a lot of people over the last year through social media. And I met one gentleman. He's about 60 years old. He's a bookkeeper. And he's worked for this company making $70,000 a year out here in LA for a long time. He got into an argument with his boss. His boss fired him. He wasn't an official accountant, he was just a bookkeeper. He had to go all the way to another state. And he started stacking shelves at Walmart because he couldn't compete in the workforce. No joke, this is dead serious. Stacking shelves, threw his back out. And then he had to go all the way back to another state where he found a bookkeeping job off of, I think it was like Indeed or one of these websites. But he's almost at retirement age right now. And he's living in that state of fear. He's got some money in the bank, probably a couple $100,000 in the bank. But you actually start thinking a couple $100,000 over the course of 20 years or 30 years is no money. It's no money. My grandmother, here's a really good example. I lived with her for a little while in Pensacola, New Jersey. She bought a little house, raised 5 daughters. She worked at a glass factory, and my grandfather worked at a box factory. She passed away a couple years. She was able to save up $700,000 and raise 5 daughters and pay her house off. It's just incredible. It's incredible. Granted, she made Dave Ramsey look like a baller. She always was on coupons, saved every single thing she possibly could. She was a survivor, a beautiful, beautiful soul. And I learned a lot from her, but today in this world, it's so hard to kind of save and get ahead, and that's the moral of the story. You could have 2 engineers, 2 doctors, 2 attorneys living in one roof, pitching in for expenses, and they're both still struggling. So my suggestion to you is, if you're renting an apartment right now, don't rent a really nice place because you want to look successful. The people that really love you, the people that really want to be around you will be around you when you're living like that or living in a crummy apartment. So really take a step back and look at what your goals are. That goal is that rental property. That goal is own a house or a duplex, whatever it is. I would probably lay out a 12-month plan or an 18-month plan. Now is such a great time to save money. There's really not a better time because the market's been like this for the last 10 or 11 years. So you being able to kind of say, okay, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to look at my expenses and I'm going to see where all my money is going every month. And I'm going to cut back where I can. And I'm going to put myself on the fast track to get this rental property. Then I'd suggest hopping on the phone with a mortgage broker. And what this mortgage broker is going to do for you is they're going to lay out really what you need to do to get to your goal. And they do it for free. That's the beautiful thing. They do this for free. They'll say your credit score is 600, but it should be 680 or 700 or 720. We can get you there, but you need to work with this professional, and you pay that professional a few $100s or $500, whatever it is, to remove a delinquency or to remove an item on your credit report to increase your score. They say you need to save up $50,000 or $40,000. Now you're cutting back on your expenses. You're able to save up that money. You're able to save up the money much faster. So that's what I would definitely do now, because a lot of people think a recession is going to come, but it would be very unfortunate for a recession to come and you not to be prepared for it. And so people wonder, why are the rents getting so high? Well, think of it this way. So I live out here in LA. So before 1930, landlords and developers did not have to supply parking for their apartment buildings. Think about that. So they could just build a 20-unit building or a 50-unit building and supply no parking stalls. Now, landlords have to develop parking generally underground because there's such a shortage of land here in LA. And to build that underground parking spot for a 1-bedroom, it's between $70,000 and $90,000 just for the parking stall. It's incredible. Then city fees, permit cost, the cost to borrow the debt for construction, all of the insurance, the architect fees, the city fees, the school fees that you have to pay as a developer, you are hit over the head with all these fees. And then at the end, the developer probably built maybe, let's just say, an 800 square foot apartment for you, probably in a $250 a foot, or maybe even more. And it's nearly impossible for them to rent you that unit for $1,500 or $2,000. They have to rent it at $3,000 or $3,500 because they also have to pay back the investors. They also have to make money. They also have concierge, people on staff to service the building, property managers, all these expenses. So they also put the pool in. They also put the gym in. They also put these things in to kind of draw you in to make it both a win for them, the developer, and a win for the tenant. But the problem is, long term, that tenant loses greatly. You're paying $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year. So I would take a step back. I would definitely not move into a trap apartment. That's what they are. They're a trap. They look really beautiful, and then you get in there and you start realizing, this isn't fun. I'm working my ass off and I have nothing to show for it. So lay out that goal, that 6-month, that 12-month, that 18-month goal. Get that one rental property. That one property will change your entire life. You get that right deal to change your entire life. So 30-year fixed rate mortgage, fixed debt over 30 years with these low interest rates, you get a really good deal. And 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll look over at your friends who are still renting and you'll realize, wow, I have all these tax benefits. I can lease out my property. I can sell it for a profit because I bought it well. And the renter, unfortunately, gets no tax benefits. It's pretty much a loss at the end of the year. They can write off a little fraction of the apartment for having maybe a home business or something along those lines. But the apartment industry as a whole, we're starting to see a lot more investment because it's a safe asset. Look at Blackstone, private equity firm. I actually have the founder of Blackstone's book right here, Steven Swearsman. And they purchased 55,000 homes at the market crash. Jonathan Gray, he runs the real estate division there. Market crashed, bought 55,000 homes, and they rented them. And that's what we're gonna see also in like the upcoming recessions. We're gonna see more investment, I believe, from like big tech and real estate funds buying up all the property to fix rents, to fix those rents, to bring them higher and higher and higher. Right now, renting an apartment versus financing a real estate purchase are on the same price point. They're almost the same payment. Some will argue it's less because of the expenses associated with owning it, but you factor in all the tax write-offs, like writing off the interest on the loan, repairs, you start writing everything off. It's pretty much a balance, but at the end, the landowner wins because rents and property values increase by about 3% a year. So the landlord always wins. And inflation kills the dollar by about 2% a year, and wages are flat. So every single year, the renter is going like this, and the landlord's going like that. So with all that being said, that's another reason why I'm giving away the rental property, because I want to help a lot of people. A lot of people own rental property, teach them about real estate, because it is the best investment. It is the best investment in the world. Owning a property that's going to produce income every single month for generations. You literally can pass the property along from generation to generation. There's no better asset, and there's no boss, there's no job, there's no career that will ever offer that type of stability. So that rental property giveaway video will be coming up, I want to say in 2 videos from now, 1 video from now, and it's going to lay out all the details. And it's going to really lay out why I'm doing it. But I think in the process of giving away this rental property, I'm going to help a lot more people learn about real estate. You know, I got a DM yesterday on Instagram from a gentleman that I helped in Denmark buy a duplex. So it's just, now with technology, it's just incredible the amount of people that you can help, that you can educate, that you can teach and train. And those people can then take that information and help their friends. And their friends are going to see what they're doing and say, wow, that's a way better deal than what I'm doing. I never really thought about looking like that. So with all that said, the Trop apartment, please take a step back and reevaluate to see if that's the best decision for you. And please like, comment, and subscribe. When we hit 250,000 subscribers, we will be doing the giveaway, and more information coming on that soon. Thank you.